How to take more effective notes. Ah, you thought I was joking when on Friendly Geordies I said that I'm your new teacher. Surprise! I am! School's in session, sit down, let's have a yarn. Alright, World War II. Stalin. Not a great dude. Class dismissed. Alright, go to the HSC with that. Write it on the essay, guarantee you'll get 99. How to take more effective notes. Whoa, from that guy. Let's give you everything that I know about it. And look, not to toot my own horn, but actually I think I am somebody that you should be coming to for this advice. A lot of the things that I'm talking about on this channel, probably not the most qualified person. I read an article once, but with this, I'm taking notes all the time. My whole life consists of notes. I've got two things for you. There's all these other people that have all these, methods of taking notes. Really, I think that a lot of it is kind of just superfluous and annoying. I've gone through a lot of those methods. The ones of, you've got to make sure that everything is coloured and itemized in certain areas of the book. If you're going to be writing something that's, about a stalactite, write it in the front part of the book. If it's a stalagmite, write it at the end part of the book to remind you that it's a stalagmite. Nah, just write it in the book. Look, this is the worst way to take notes, just take them. But the second tip that I could give you, yes, I do think that colouring them differently does help. And the only reason that I think it does help is when you're looking back at them, you just go like, this is boring. Oh, different colour, sick. It's pathetic how pathetic your mind is. Yours, not mine. Mine's awesome. So anyway, you write them down in different colours. That definitely helps with memorisation. But the importance of note-taking, just as a general overlay, is that if you do it, I can't remember the university that was talking about it now, but pretty much in every study that you read, there is a 50% increase in retention rate, if you do them. Just by writing them down, even if you never look at them again, just the act of writing it down means that you are 50% more likely to remember what you wrote down. The only other piece of advice, and this is really what I want to hone in on today, is that same thing. This is just an extension of the last video, but it's like instinct. When it comes to instinct, you need to write down the things that when you're reading, you go, oh, that's a good point. Every time you have that, I know from experience, because I've read books where I've just gone, oh, I should write that down, and then, don't. And then years later, I read it again and I go, oh, that's a really good point. I should go write that down. And then I remember, I didn't do it, baby. And it's a really good point that would have helped you throughout the years. If you just remembered that one point, which you completely forgot about because you stopped reading the book, if you were doing what it said over those 2 years, again, just what we're talking about in this show, what the fuck is this? Someone just ranting in solitary confinement? Welcome to the show. It's a really weird show, isn't it? Just some prisoner sitting there like, here's some advice for you. If you ever want to just, if you ever want to make someone talk, this is called the squeal piggy method. Right, so if you want a video on that, I'll give it a go. So when you're writing and you do not put that down as a little note, because I think that that's the way that you should be thinking about note-taking. Quotes. Just think about every little piece that pings off in your mind of, that's a good point. Now, self-help books, filled with good points. But are they good for you? And that's something that only you can answer. Ooh, off on your mythical journey, young child that becomes a man in every fairy tale. But your fairy tale is just reading a bunch of other fairy tales that have just been rehashed. Every time that you have one of those quotes, I want you to write it down, because it's speaking to you, and there is a reason that it's speaking to you, and it's because it is something A, that you are ignorant of, or B, that you know that you are lacking. And it's something that you have to put down as a reminder, because if you don't, you will keep on that habitual groove that got you the same results that you have today. Now, are you really satisfied with the results that you have? No one should be. Even the most successful human beings on earth. Surely The Rock is sitting there right now being like, damn, $1 billion out of making shit films. You know to be better than that? 2 billion, bitches. Time to pump. Right? Everybody, it's just a part of the human condition. No matter where you are now, there's somewhere to stretch to. So, the point is, as Einstein says, talking about cliches, but Yeah, you can't solve the problems with the thinking that created the problem. The problem is your life. Specifically. Everybody else that's watching this channel has it handled. It's just you. What a mess. And so you need to get better at thinking to get to that position. So when you are writing notes, what you really are doing is distilling in your mind the things that you need to do to get to that next level. And so what happens is when you subconsciously are reading these, you go, oh, okay, that speaks to me. That applies to me. I should be taking that note. You know what I found out, which is actually really charming? Some people actually do write notes when it comes to these self-help videos, and I highly recommend that you do, because all I am doing is just regurgitating. As I've said before, everybody's brain is just a sponge, and I'm just going all of the self-help gems that I've read over the years. So if any of these points are speaking to you, that should be going into your notebook. The other thing that I can highly recommend is that you should have just a notebook dedicated to quotes. So I think I'm on to my 4th now, maybe my 5th. No, my 6th. I'm on to my 6 Tools for Life book that I've been writing, right? And it is a great accomplishment to go back and look at all the notes that you've taken. On top of that, obviously, you forget heaps of them. But the other thing that's really important about them is, and look, this is where it starts to get too hippie, but I think that there are things that you write down that maybe they spoke to you back then and you thought, yeah, I'll use that for another time or whatever, but you didn't use them. And then you look back at it and you think, that speaks to me right now. It is just a distilled encyclopedia just for you, you know? Okay? You are writing your own self-help book when you do that. Because that's all self-help is. It's just like stealing off a bunch of psychological essays and reports and then just like, writing them in not a way that's completely fucked and esoteric. So when you are writing those down, that's the main thing that should be going into your head. Instinct of, that's a good point. Okay, if it's a good point, write it down. Obviously, you should be changing it when it comes to the colors. But the real important point of it is that you are taking the notes. And on top of that, if you're writing notes that you never use in the future, that happens as well. Like sometimes I look through all of these books that I've written and I think, nah, that's kind of lame. First of all, it could not be lame at another point in your life, because at every stage in life, just pretty much from the psychological makeup of what's been happening to you at that moment, things start to jump out at you that wouldn't have jumped out at you 5 years ago and won't jump out at you 5 years in the future. There's that point. But the other point is that you don't know what you're going to need in the future. I certainly didn't. When I go look at that now, and the other thing that's really important about it is all of my interests throughout my life. Okay? So, does that make sense, that really simple sentence? All of my interests in life, I go back and look at them, and they apply themselves to now in different ways. You're just building up on this knowledge bank. All right, so let's scrap the first metaphor that I had, all right? I changed my mind. It's a bank. It's a bank of wisdom. And I want you to start that bank of wisdom today. If you aren't taking notes, thank you for whoever asked that question, by the way. Good for you. I don't know what your name is. I assume that it's Tom, because, I don't know, like virtually every male in Australia that I've ever met in my life is Tom. I think I'm just going to start shaking people's hands and say, hey Tom, how are you? And if they say Howard, I'll just go, oh yeah, Howard, my mistake. But I think that, 50% of the time, I feel like you've known me my whole life. So, start your little bank of knowledge today. This is just a reminder to everybody out there, if you aren't writing down notes, and I don't want to hear any of this shit about, oh, I'm writing it down on my phone. Do you actually look at it? You don't, do you? There's something about writing it down. It's just more authentic. It just has this kind of, in a much lamer, less boss way, just some medieval craftsman making a stool. Ah, it fits perfectly, yes. It has that feeling to it. Like that little kettles guy that carves the chip in that old ad that I always looked at and then it just goes to a bunch of annoying young people. Nah, cunts. They didn't know. That poor craftsman. I had no idea that he made all of Kettle's chips. Where does he find the time? It must be the Tempest from Shakespeare. Well, look, do you have a better suggestion? Right. When you were writing it down, I think that there is just the act of writing it as opposed to typing it that makes it more memorable. I have no like evidence or proof of that. I'm just saying it from my own experience. My truth. That when you write it down, there's just an element of it, you're just kind of engaging. I don't know, maybe it might be just the physical aspect of it. It's just engaging your brain a little bit more. I like the idea that your entire body is sort of just a brain. You know when they remove someone's heart and they put it in someone else and then they start having the same habits for food as that person? Well, I read it somewhere. And so I think that when you are doing that, what is happening is that you are sort of, it makes, God, it makes the situation feel more sacred, okay? I'm just going to get too much into that. Let's just all have this little circle of truth where nothing anyone says is wrong, okay? There's no such thing as a lie in this circle. Before we get into that point, I'm just going to end the video. Thank you for the question. Give me more. Like the video. Yeah. Suggestions out. Peace out.